Biden said a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal between Hamas and Israel is on the brink of being finalized. Biden said the proposed agreement would include a surge of aid to Palestinians in Gaza, the release of hostages held by Hamas, and a halt to the fighting in the enclave. How things pan out, that's of course something that remains to be seen.
Also on World DNA, Iran has been carrying out a series of military drills and exercises in a show of strength, in a veiled message to the US and Israel. Iran has suggested an armory of unknown weapons that Iran's enemies have no knowledge of. We'll bring you the latest on that front as well. This and a lot more lined up for you right here on World DNA. Let's start with the headlines.
It's day 2 of the Mahakumbh Mela 2025 and the first Amrit Snan is taking place today on the occasion of Makar Sankranti. All the 13 akhadas will take a holy dip at the Triveni Sangam in Prayagraj.
On the war between Israel and Hamas, we're on the brink of a proposal that I laid out in detail months ago, finally coming to fruition.
US President Joe Biden says Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal on the brink of being finalized. Israeli officials say deal may see release of 33 hostages in the first stage.
Government is going to cover 100% of the cost for the next 180 days for things like firefighter overtime pay, debris removal, temporary shelters. It's going to cost tens of billions of dollars.
President Joe Biden says rebuilding from LA fires will take tens of billions of dollars. Calls on US Congress to step up funding. This after House Speaker Mike Johnson says there should be conditions on disaster aid to California.
At least 100 illegal miners have died in South Africa after being trapped for months in an abandoned gold mine, claims a group representing the miners.
South Korea's military claims North Korea has launched unidentified projectile towards the Sea of Japan.
A 55-year-old Texas man has been arrested for allegedly stalking WNBA star Caitlin Clark. The accused reportedly sent threatening and sexually violent messages on social media to the Indiana Fever player. US President Joe Biden has touted his foreign policy accomplishments, saying he is leaving Donald Trump with a very strong hand to play.
In what was likely the final foreign policy address of his administration, Biden said that America was stronger on the global stage than it had been for decades.
The 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden.
In a speech at the US State Department, Biden added that he is leaving an America with more friends and stronger alliances, whose adversaries are weakened under pressure.
And we're leaving them, an America with more friends and stronger alliances, whose adversaries are weaker and under pressure. An America that once again is leading, uniting countries, setting the agenda, bringing others together behind our plans and visions.
Biden also added that the United States would remain the world's predominant superpower and that China would never surpass the United States. He added that Washington has responsibly managed its complex ties with Beijing and that the relationship never tipped over into conflict in his 4 years as president.
Today, I can report to the American people we're in a better strategic position in the long-term competition with China than we were when I took office. You all recall many experts believe were predicting it was inevitable that China's economy would surpass ours. According to many predictions, that would happen by the year 2030 or shortly thereafter. But we in this room said no. If we make the investments in ourselves, we protect our workers and technologies, that will not happen. Now, according to the latest predictions, on China's current course, they will never surpass us, period.
In a message probably aimed at his successor, Biden trumpeted his administration's work on expanding NATO and rallying allies to provide Ukraine with military aid to fight Russia. Biden said that the United States and its allies can't walk away from Ukraine, adding that the Russian leader Vladimir Putin has failed to achieve any of his strategic objectives.
Now, make no mistake, there are serious challenges the United States must continue to deal with in Ukraine, in the Middle East, in the Indo-Pacific. Must keep the pressure on the Houthis, who are attacking ships in the Red Sea, launching missiles at Israel, and firing at American forces. Must deter North Korea as they rattle their saber and draw closer to Russia. And new challenges will certainly emerge in the months and years ahead. But even so, it's clear my administration is leaving the next administration with a very strong hand to play.
Biden also announced that 2 of the Navy's future aircraft carriers will be named for former commanders-in-chiefs Bill Clinton and George W. Bush. The United States has a long tradition of naming some of its aircraft carriers massive warships that are crewed by thousands of sailors and carry dozens of planes after former presidents.
Clinton, who did not serve in the military, was president from 1993 to 2001. Bush, who served as a pilot in the Air National Guard, held America's highest office from 2001 to 2009.
Please welcome the 39th president of...
Recently passed overwhelmingly by Congress. The Brotherhood.
And the United States is tightening its grip on the global AI landscape, and many countries may be feeling left out.
In a move to bolster its dominance in artificial intelligence, the US government announced sweeping restrictions on AI chip and technology exports, re-exports, and in-country transfers. These new rules draw a clear line that some nations get full access while others face strict limits or are shut out entirely. For many countries, these restrictions are a setback, limiting their ability to compete in the global AI race.
Tier 1 countries like Japan, the UK, South Korea will be essentially exempt. Tier 2, including Singapore, Israel and Saudi Arabia, will face strict caps. And then there's Tier 3, China, Russia and Iran, completely barred from accessing this technology. The United States says it needs to maintain its edge in AI and prevent advanced tech from falling into the hands of adversaries. But the new rules don't just target rival nations.
The announcement of the restrictions drew a fiery pushback from Beijing and prompted US chip industry criticism, while the European Union expressed its concern over the approach. Meanwhile, China has said that new export rules on chips used for artificial intelligence unveiled by the United States were a flagrant violation of international trade rules.
The latest move drew criticism, industry criticism, and warnings that it would hurt US competitiveness. NVIDIA called the rules overreach, saying they clamp down on tech that's already mainstream. Oracle warned that it could hand the market to Chinese competitors. In a white paper released on Monday, OpenAI said that the federal government should help the AI industry grow. And a new report has raised alarm over the vulnerability of US airfields in the Pacific to China's advancing long-range aviation and missile capabilities.
Well, the report released by a think tank called the Hudson Institute says that US airfields in the Western Pacific face critical vulnerability as China's People's Liberation Army has vastly outpaced US efforts to harden airfield infrastructure. The report by Hudson Institute suggests that while China's military has doubled its hardened aircraft shelters to over 3,000 and have also added extensive runways, and on the other hand, US military had added 2 since the early 2010s. The report says this disparity leaves US airbase dangerously exposed to precision missile strikes, with most aircraft losses in a potential conflict expected to occur on the ground.
The report states that China's fortification efforts enable sustained air operations under attack, posing a strategic advantage. In contrast, it points out that the US reliance on Cold War-era approach and minimal investment in airfield resilience increases operational risks and incentivizes Chinese aggression.
The report then recommends a multi-year campaign to harden US air bases, deploy active and passive defenses, and redesign force structures to operate from distant or dispersed locations. Without these measures, the Hudson Institute report warns that the US risks losing air superiority in the Indo-Pacific and faces a destabilizing strategic imbalance that could provoke preemptive Chinese military actions.
Further, the war zone reported in December 2024 that the US Air Force's new installation infrastructure plan notably omits plans for new hardened aircraft shelters, despite acknowledging that bases can no longer be considered sanctuaries and must operate under attack.
Now, it also notes that this absence is striking amid growing drone and missile threats, particularly from China. All right, we move further from here. US President Joe Biden said that a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal between Hamas and Israel is on the brink of being finalized.
In a farewell speech at the State Department, Biden said that the proposed agreement would include a surge of aid to Palestinians in Gaza, the release of hostages held by Hamas, and the halt to fighting in the enclave.
On the war between Israel and Hamas, we're on the brink of a proposal that I laid out in detail months ago, finally coming to fruition. I have learned in many years of public service to never, ever give up.
Biden has been working the phones as he seeks a prized peace deal in his final days in office before Donald Trump returns to the White House on the 20th of January. The outgoing US president said he would be speaking soon to Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who has played a key role in negotiations.
He called the ruler of mediator Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, on Monday and also spoke to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said that a truce deal could be finalized this week.
And we are now at a pivotal point in the negotiations for a hostage deal and ceasefire in Gaza. The president spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday and just got off the phone with the Emir of Qatar. He'll be speaking soon also with President Sisi of Egypt. We are close to a deal, and it can get done this week. I'm not making a promise or a prediction, but it is there for the taking, and we are going to work to make it happen.
Qatar's ruler met on Monday with the West Asia envoys for the incoming and outgoing US administrations. They reviewed developments in the Gaza Strip and the ceasefire negotiations.
Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar said there has been progress in negotiating a hostage release deal.
We see some progress in the negotiations. Israel wants a hostage deal. Israel is working with our American friends in order to achieve a hostage deal. And soon we will know whether the other side wants the same thing.
Meanwhile, relatives of hostages, wounded soldiers and reservists gathered in Jerusalem under the slogan "No Mandate to Surrender to Hamas" and called on the government to release the hostages only through victory over Hamas.
Protest here is about wanting to get all of the hostages at once, not in batches, because we don't believe that Hamas will ever really release all of them. And it doesn't make sense for us to have to be in a position of being in a selection, like in the Holocaust, where some were pushed to the right and some were pushed to the left.
Furthermore, Gaza Civil Defense Agency said a wave of Israeli airstrikes killed more than 50 people in the Palestinian territory's main city on Monday. Agency spokesperson said that the strikes pounded Gaza City throughout the day, hitting schools, homes and even gatherings of people. Nearly 46,600 Palestinians have been killed in the Israeli offensive since the 7th of October 2023.
The Israeli military said 5 IDF soldiers were killed in northern Gaza on Monday, while 8 other soldiers from the reconnaissance battalion of the Nahal Brigade were wounded in the same incident. Since the beginning of the war in October 2023, 840 soldiers have been killed.
Meanwhile, Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthi group said it launched missile and drone attacks on targets in Tel Aviv. According to the Houthi military spokesperson, the operation achieved its objectives successfully.
نفذت القوة الصاروخية في القوات المسلحة اليمنية بعون الله تعالى عملية عسكرية استهدفت هدفا حيويا للعدو الإسرائيلي في منطقة يافا المحتلة، وذلك بصاروخ باليستي فرط صوتي نوع فلسطين 2، وقد حققت العملية
And Iran is ramping up its military might. The military has kicked off large-scale air defense exercises.
The drills, named Iqtidar or Might in Farsi, began last week and are set to continue until mid-March. According to Tasneem news agency, 1,000 new drones were delivered to Iran's military. And the drones were delivered to various locations throughout Iran and are said to have high stealth and anti-fortification abilities. Major General Abdul Rahim, commander of Iran's army and defense minister, were pictured walking among the drones at an undisclosed location. And this also comes amid heightened tensions with Israel and the United States.
The drills are conducted by the Iranian Army and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. On Tuesday, the IRGC said the drills were intentionally focused on the Natanz nuclear enrichment plant in central Iran.
The Natanz nuclear facility is one of the major nuclear power sites that has long been a focal point in the Israel-Iran conflict. Iran has accused Israel several times for targeting its facility, located around 300 kilometers south of Tehran in the province of Isfahan. Natanz is the main center for uranium enrichment. The facility is housed in underground bunkers to protect it from airstrikes.
Iran's state media said the war games are aimed at preparing defense systems for real battlefield conditions, protecting critical sites against air, missile and electronic threats. The exercises come as Iran anticipates fresh pressure from the United States under the incoming administration of Donald Trump. Iran expects his maximum pressure policy could include empowering Israel to strike Iran's nuclear sites and furthering crippling sanctions on Iran's oil industry.
While during the course of time, Israel's options for responding to Iranian aggression has increased in the form of its advancing nuclear facilities and infrastructure. However, Tehran has previously warned that any attacks on its nuclear facilities or its oil and gas industry would cross a red line, triggering retaliatory strikes on Western energy interests and disrupting global economy.
Iran's current war games also follow simulated defenses of nuclear installations against mock missile and drone attacks. The military claims it's deploying new drones and missiles in these exercises.
The military activities are taking place with Iran's nuclear program under close watch. Ahead of US President-elect Donald Trump's return to the White House, in his first term, Trump pulled the United States out of a 2015 nuclear deal with Tehran. Russia and Ukraine are intensifying their fight as they enter a crucial stage of the war.
With Trump taking office in a week, both sides are going all out to ensure that they have an upper hand when it comes to negotiations. Our next report tells you what Moscow and Kyiv are doing to remain ahead in this war.
As winter tightens its grip on Ukraine, Russia is intensifying its offensive even more. It is redefining the new phase of war with its killer drones. Russian forces are using explosive-packed fiber-optic drones in the battlefield, known for conducting unjammable precision strikes on Ukrainian soil. Kyiv is scrambling for a quick fix to fight back. These dangerous drones pose a major challenge to Ukrainian forces. They can neither be detected nor intercepted with electronic warfare. The first-person view drones have emerged as key tools in the Russia-Ukraine war. With no early warning signals, these drones approach targets unnoticed. Capable of penetrating 20 kilometers into enemy lines, these drones strike targets with high-resolution imagery. Wired with cables, they preserve stable connections. The drones can fly inside tunnels, close to the ground, through valleys and other areas where other drones might lose connection. Their slower speed allows for more reaction time, making them highly effective. Russia appears to be flying the fiber-optic drones into the battlefield since last spring. Ukraine says they are becoming a staple of Moscow's battlefield strategy as it pushes for more territory in the eastern region. Russia doesn't have too many of these drones either. Moreover, it doesn't use them in every direction of the front lines. But wherever they are used, they are a problem. Ukraine is grappling with declining Western arms support and Russia's manpower advantage. These modified drones represent a shift in battlefield tactics. Ukraine is in the process of bargaining hard with Russia as Trump's presidency nears. Zelensky offers to release captured North Korean soldiers in exchange for Ukrainian soldiers held in Russia. Both Kyiv and Moscow are ramping up fighting as they enter a pivotal stage of the war. Whether Ukraine can have a peace deal on its own terms remains a million-dollar question. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Now in South Korea, the trail of suspended President Yoon Suk-yeol has begun.
The Constitutional Court is to determine whether Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment is even valid. Yoon was impeached after his brief martial law order on the 3rd of December last year, which triggered a political crisis in the country.
Now, the first day of the hearing ended early with Yoon absent from court. His lawyers said that the suspended president will be present at the hearing on Tuesday, and his absence on the first day was strictly to do with security concerns.
Simultaneously, the former Prime Minister's pre-trial hearing also began earlier in the day. Han Duck-soo was made acting president and survived 13 days before he was also impeached. Han faces trial for not approving justices to the Constitutional Court. An opposition accuses him of active involvement in the martial law debacle.
As the courtroom drama ensues, South Koreans remain divided over the country's political affairs.
Asia's fourth largest economy and a key ally of the US, South Korea's worst political crisis in decades also has Gen Z on edge. Listen to this.
I'm not a sexual minority, but as someone who supports sexual minorities, I think that the reason so many of them are coming out to the impeachment rally is because they want to create a better society and spread their values as democratic citizens.
In the history of the Republic of Korea, martial law has always been a painful issue for the people. And I think that President Yoon Suk-yeol has made it even more painful by taking such a hardline approach despite the fact that there were more lenient methods available. So I came out in support of the impeachment.
I think the Democratic Party's biased policy of withdrawing U.S. troops from Korea and increasing tariffs is truly unfair. So in order to protect President Yoon Suk-yeol and defend liberal democracy, I am now protesting here. holding both the Korean flag and the flag of the United States, a strong ally of Korea.
When talking about politics with my friends, no matter how much I tell them the truth, they don't listen. So we naturally become distant.
And with that, it's time now to slip into a short break, but we're leaving you with all the climate stories which are making headlines across the globe today.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
Amid escalating violence in the eastern regions of the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Congolese army announces significant military gains against the M23 rebel group, with Rwanda's Paul Kagame calling for dialogue. Benin celebrates Vodun Days, a festival centered around the arts, culture and spirituality of the voodoo cult, where women are the mainstay of the festivities. And Senegal aims to promote their culture using toys like traditional wrestler figurines or dolls that come in a wide range of skin tones, including albino. That's this week on World of Africa. At these times on WION, World is One.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for staying with us. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. With him and I'm Shivan. Let's start with the headlines at this hour.
At least 100 illegal miners have died in South Africa after being trapped for months in an abandoned gold mine, claims a group representing the miners.
And the war between Israel and Hamas, we're on the brink of a proposal that I laid out in detail months ago, finally coming to fruition.
US President Joe Biden says Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal on the brink of being finalized. Israeli officials say deal may see release of 33 hostages in the first stage.
Government is going to cover 100% of the cost for the next 180 days for things like firefighter overtime pay, debris removal, temporary shelters. It's going to cost tens of billions of dollars.
President Joe Biden says rebuilding from LA fires will take tens of billions of dollars, calls on US Congress to step up funding. This after House Speaker Mike Johnson says there should be conditions on disaster aid to California.
South Korea's military claims North Korea has launched unidentified projectiles towards the Sea of Japan.
It's day 2 of the Mahakumbh Mela 2025 and the first Amrit Snan is taking place today on the occasion of Makar Sankranti. All the 13 akhadas will take a holy dip at the Triveni Sangam in Prayagraj.
A 55-year-old Texas man arrested for allegedly stalking WNBA star Caitlin Clark. The accused reportedly sent threatening and sexually violent messages on social media to the Indiana Fever player. Well, it's day 2 of the Mahakumbh Mela 2025 and today is one of the most auspicious days of the festival. The first Amrit Snan is taking place today on the occasion of Makar Sankranti.
With all akhadas participating in a traditional bathing sequence, the akhadas are the ancient orders of seers which with distinct customs and practices. Each akhada has been allotted specific times for departure, bathing and return to ensure smooth coordination.
Panchayati Akhada, Mahanirvani and Shambhu Panchayati Atal Akhada were the first to lead the ritual and completed their bath by 8 a.m. Each Akhada has 40 to 45 minutes for the holy dip before returning to their camp. The Naga Sadhus, who are often referred to as the spiritual pillars of Mahakumbh, are the first ones to take a dip during the Amrit Snan. Now, it is believed that taking a dip during the Amrit Snan cleanses devotees' sins and helps people attain spiritual liberation. Our special correspondent, Johan Castell, is on ground to tell you more about the Mahakumbh experience.
So we are on the ground in Prayagraj as the Mahakumbh Mela is officially in full swing. This is the first royal bathing day or Amrit Snan that we're witnessing right behind us. This is the second procession of akharas that we are witnessing today. And I believe these two akharas are Niranjani Akhara and Anand Akhara. Of course, Niranjani Akhara is known for having a lot of very well-educated members. Some of them are even PhD holders. And Anand Akhara is known as one of the oldest in the country. The way this is all organized is that we're seeing 9 different groups of akharas that throughout the day will get their turn to bathe. This now is the second group, which has 2 akharas in it. They get about 45 minutes each to conduct their bath. and we can see different groups of saints and devotees from these akharas that are swarming towards the Triveni Sangam today. Just take a look at these visuals. We're seeing Naga Babas on horses, strumming rhythms, chanting, singing, as they proceed down to the Triveni Sangam for the Amrit Snan. This is the highlight of the Kumbh Mela festival. Just look at these colorful sights. Wow, here we go with the Naga Babas covered in ash, rushing down towards Triveni Sangam. There are so many devotees, so many saints that are coming in. Wow. This is a huge grouping from the second group of akharas that is proceeding down to Triveni Sangam today. The Naga Babas have already passed us. People are screaming all around us. So many Babas, saints, Naga Babas and devotees all around us for the first Amrit Snan of the Mahakumbh Mela in 2025.
On day one of the Mahakumbh, more than 17 million devotees took a holy dip in Sangam.
The second Amriti Snan is on the 29th of January on the occasion of Mauni Amavasya, and the third Amrit Snan will be held on the 3rd of February on Basant Panchami.
All right, Singapore's president will be on a 5-day state visit to India.
Well, the visit will mark 60 years of diplomatic relations between India and Singapore. And President Thurman will be in India from the 14th to the 18th of January and will be accompanied by a high-level delegation which will include ministers and members of parliament. He will be the first Singapore president to travel to India in 10 years. This is also Thurman's first visit to India as the president of Singapore.
According to a statement by India's External Affairs Ministry, Singapore President will be holding discussions with the Indian President Draupadi Murmu, who will be hosting a banquet in his honor.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also be meeting with the visiting president. He is also expected to meet with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and several other Indian dignitaries. Cooperation on skilling for the semiconductor industry and vocational training will be in focus during Singapore President's state visit this week. In India, the political battle for Delhi is heating up. With assembly elections due to be held in February on the 5th, parties are leaving no stone unturned in wooing voters.
Even through their digs at political rivals on social media, the Bharatiya Janata Party has released several posters mocking former Chief Minister and Aam Aadmi Party Chief Arvind Kejriwal. The party has attacked AAP Supremo by morphing his face on Bollywood movie posters centered around negative characters. BJP took a swipe at the alleged liquor policy scam, which put Kejriwal and many top AAP leaders in legal trouble.
In response, Aam Aadmi Party's social media handle released a poster featuring BJP leader and Delhi elections candidate Ramesh Bidhuri, labeling him as someone who uses profane language. Bidhuri earlier drew criticism from across party lines for his personal remarks on Delhi Chief Minister Atishi, where he targeted her father.
Amid growing political rhetoric, parties are also clashing on election issues. While addressing a gathering on Sunday, Aam Aadmi Party Chief Arvind Kejriwal said that he will not contest elections if the BJP-led central government can ensure housing for all slum dwellers in the national capital. The comments come as a response to Union Home Minister Amit Shah's remarks urging Delhi's voters to quote-unquote throw out the Aam Aadmi Party from the state government to ensure welfare.
In the midst of the Aam Aadmi Party BJP duel, Congress senior leader Rahul Gandhi entered the campaign and held his first rally earlier in the day. This was yesterday. The Congress party, which has been out of power for over 10 years now, does not even hold a single assembly seat at the moment and is scrambling to make a comeback.
Now, the devastating winds that have been transforming wildfires into blowtorches have persisted for another week.
The fires are threatening lives and wreaking havoc on homes, businesses and cultural landmarks in Los Angeles and the rest of South California. AccuWeather now estimates damages and economic losses between $250 and $275 billion from an earlier estimate of $135 to $150 billion. Lost salaries and interruptions to the supply chain are examples of secondary losses that the commercial forecaster has considered for its estimate. According to Edison International, the Southern California Edison company is ready to turn off power if the next round of strong winds makes it necessary. The company's website states that about 430,000 customers would be affected by scheduled disruptions.
AccuWeather's chief meteorologist Jonathan Porter said, and I'm quoting here, "This is already one of the worst wildfires in California history." On Tuesday, the U.S. Storm Prediction Center warned of extreme fire conditions throughout 5,872 square kilometers around LA. This is due to the resurgence of winds, which will whip flames with gusts strong enough to cause tropical storms.
Conditions will remain critical until Wednesday for an even bigger area, which is home to almost 9 million people. More than 12,000 buildings in more than 40,000 acres of Altadena and Pacific Palisades neighborhoods of Los Angeles have been destroyed by the fires. Gavin Newsom, the California governor, said that the fires could be the country's worst natural disaster in terms of just the costs associated with it, in terms of the scale and scope.
And for more on this, the correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report. Listen to this.
The recent California wildfires have caused unprecedented economic damage. They are still ongoing, by the way, potentially making it the costliest in U.S. history, from property losses, which are direct, to health-related expenses, to significant indirect costs. Supply chains have notably been disrupted, notably for goods reliant on California, and also its infrastructure. Agricultural production has also suffered due to smoke exposure and the damaging of crops. The technology sector will likely face delays and increased costs, especially for components either made in California or transported through that state. These disruptions are likely to result in higher prices for consumers nationwide. Now, the employment market is also affected, with potential wage increases due to rebuilding efforts as well as labor shortages. All of this culminative impact underscores the excessive and intensive ramifications of these wildfires, which really go beyond any physical destruction at this point. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
Now, you might want to think about switching careers if you love money but don't currently work in crypto.
A recent survey found that crypto job salaries are 153% more than the average salary in comparable sectors. This next report brings you more as we decode the survey findings on crypto sector's pay averaging more than other industries. Take a look.
Research by NFT Evening into 1,169 crypto blockchain related roles found that crypto specialists earn far more. Even within the tech industry, crypto roles pay 46% more on average. Digital asset industry roles pay approximately 16% more than those that deal with artificial intelligence. The highest paying state in the US for a quantitative portfolio manager is New York. The average salary is $184,946 and the top salary is over $1 million. The state also dominates the crypto sector with 23.87% share of all digital asset job posts. Nearly 43% of all crypto job ads are in the engineering and tech fields. On average, Software engineers in the crypto industry make $209,000 a year, which is 78% more than those working in more conventional tech jobs. Blockchain engineers, protocol designers, and cybersecurity specialists round out the list of notable roles within the crypto sector. Even remote work, which represents 43% of job postings, has an average salary of over $173,000. Meanwhile, on-site work will get an average of more than $143,000. Jobs in analysis and research typically pay over $241,000, making them the highest paying in the field. Next on the list is finance and accounting, where the average salary for a lead job is $222,000. The dependence on financial planning and compliance competence within the sector is highlighted by this category. However, data compiled by analytics company CoinCub shows that in 2024, crypto-related jobs fell 90% and Bitcoin-related jobs fell 95%. An 84% drop was felt alone in the United States. Jobs connected to blockchain also declined by half. CoinCub CEO Segyu Hamza, referring to the deep layoffs in the crypto sector, said the numbers are crushing down in a straight line. He added that these are consistent with a wide swathe of crypto-native companies reducing headcounts in recent months. Things seem to be turning this year, though. After laying off 28% of its employees last year, Blockchain.com has announced intentions to increase its employment by 25%. Paybido, a cryptocurrency exchange located in Singapore, has stated intentions to increase headcount in both its Singapore and Dubai offices by 50%. According to a new research by Premise Partners, Web3 has the potential to generate 8 million job openings in India during the next 10 years. This is planned through the creation of 2 million direct positions and high wages and a threefold multiplier for indirect jobs. Business Bureau Report, WION World is One.
On to news now from the world of sports. Former heavyweight world champion Tyson Fury has announced his retirement from boxing.
And this comes just 2 days after promoter Eddie Hearn revealed that Wembley Stadium had been booked for a summer showdown with Anthony Joshua.
Hi everybody, I'm going to make this short and sweet. I'd like to announce my retirement from boxing. It's been a blast. I've loved every single minute of it and I'm going to end with it.
Now, this is not the first time that the Gypsy King has announced his retirement. In 2022, Fury said that he is hanging up his gloves after beating Dillian Whyte, only to reverse his decision 6 months later to fight Derek Chisora in a trilogy bout at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
If Fury sticks to his words this time, he will end his career with a loss. Fury was beaten by unanimous decision in December in his rematch with Alexander Usyk for the unified heavyweight world titles. Fury enjoyed 2 stints as heavyweight champion and retires with a record of 34 wins, 2 defeats and 1 draw. His career highlights include beating Vladimir Klitschko in 2015 to become champion for the first time, and his trilogy showdown with Deontay Wilder that made him the WBC king in 2020. After battles in the ring and with mental health, Fury's legacy remains one of drama, dominance and comebacks. All right, next up, it's from the world of showbiz. Here's the latest. The 67th annual Grammy Awards will still air on the 2nd of Feb despite the ongoing California wildfires. The Recording Academy announced the show will go on, but now with an effort to raise money for wildfire relief. The show, whose host has yet to be announced, will air live in Los Angeles.
The Oscar nominations are being pushed back almost a week from their original date amid the ongoing California wildfires. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences said nominations will be now announced on the 23rd of January, with fires still active in the LA area. The Film Academy also extended the nominations voting period from its members through Friday. The organization that puts on the Oscars has also made the decision to cancel its annual nominees luncheon, an untelevised event best known for the class photos it produces annually. The 97th Oscars will still happen on the 2nd of March at the Dolby Theatre.
Country music star Carrie Underwood will perform America the Beautiful at Donald Trump's inauguration next week. Other performers will include two of the president-elect's musical favorites, country singer Lee Greenwood and opera singer Christopher Macchio. Underwood, who launched her career on American Idol, is to perform shortly before Trump takes the oath of office at the US Capitol on the 20th of January. According to Trump's inaugural committee, Greenwood will perform as Trump walks out to take the oath.
And Coldplay is all set to dazzle fans with their much-anticipated Music of the Spheres India tour.
Marking their fourth performance in the country, the band will take the stage in Mumbai and Ahmedabad. The Mumbai concert will feature a special opening act by Indian singer Jasleen Royal. And the Hirie hitmaker is set to make history as the first Indian artist to open for Coldplay, adding her unique Desi touch.
The 33-year-old singer took to her Instagram to share a series of photos offering fans a glimpse into her preparation, captioned "Life lately, sing, sleep, cuddle, repeat," and 1 week to go for the Coldplay concert. The post has fans buzzing with excitement. The band will play at Navi Mumbai's D.I. Patil Stadium on the 18th, 19th and the 21st of January 2025, followed by two spectacular shows at Ahmedabad's Narendra Modi Stadium on the 25th and the 26th of January.
Now, amidst all the excitement, the band recently received a notice from Gujarat authorities with strict guidelines for their Ahmedabad shows. The notice prohibits entry for children below 5 years of age and mandates hearing protection for attendees aged 5 to 18. Additionally, sound levels are to be kept below 120 decibels. It remains to be seen how these measures will shape the event.
And with that, we call a wrap on this edition of the News Bulletin.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Slipping into a short break.